Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Week 1 is in the books. Week 1's in the books already.
It is.
That's crazy. I would be a little happier, slightly happier if David Montgomery successfully ran anything.
I wish more of our takes were right.
Yeah, we can't be perfect, I guess.
We got a couple right, a couple wrong. It's just week 1 though.
Yeah. It is Tuesday, September 10th. Tuesday, September 10th. Waiver Wire Week 2. Is that what you want to call it? Waiver Wire Week 2?
I guess.
My name is Morgan Colby. Got Rick Lemon right across from me.
What's up?
I'm like so excited about the show.
Yeah, I could tell. I
only said it like 9 million times before
you look
we
like
started.
me at like 12:55 on Sunday.
Oh my God.
5 minutes before kickoff.
I was kind of getting frustrated on Sunday morning. I'm not going to lie.
Why?
Because it was 11 o'clock. We're in Eastern time, by the way. It was 11 o'clock, and it was taking forever to get to 1 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
I paced for like 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was waiting so anxiously.
You just gotta relax on your Sunday
that's
morning.
True. That's true. Well, I was relaxing on my Sunday morning, and then I got bored. Today we got a lot to talk about. We're going to give you our waiver wire ads. We're going to go back and forth, discuss guys you should pick up, guys you should not pick up. We are not always going to agree. We are trying to help you form an opinion about what you would like to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through some quarterback streaming options, give you some quick reactions from the week, and we'll start with the news. Before we get into that, be sure to go over to our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the FFChamps on Twitter, at the Fantasy Champions on Instagram. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/the Fantasy Champs. Subscribe wherever you listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. If you're on YouTube, click the bell for notifications. Leave a comment and leave a review wherever you're listening, and share this podcast with your friends. We would like to make a short form announcement that we will be switching to 3 episodes a week during the regular season.
Ooh.
Don't know why we never told anyone about that, because it was in the plan like a month and a half ago. So there's that. But we are switching to 3 episodes a week. So you're going to get one tonight. You're going to get one tomorrow morning. You're going to get one Thursday morning. And it's all going to help you prepare for week 2. The Waiver Wire show will be released in the morning time on Tuesdays, but it's a little bit later today. Let's get into the news to start. After a long saga between the Raiders and the Patriots, between the Raiders and AB, not between the Raiders and the Patriots, but I guess the Patriots are involved.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to talk about it, because last week when we talked about Antonio Brown, everything was cleared up and he was playing, and then Thursday,
so much happened.
Thursday, it was said that he was going to play on Monday, and he wasn't going to be suspended. Then Friday came along and he posted this weird video on Twitter that everyone was like, why would he post that?
Actually.
It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
He posted this weird video and everyone was like, why would he post that? And it was like some sketchy stuff. People thought he was being illegal. And John Gruden, he recorded like John Gruden's phone call with him and stuff like that and edited into like a short film or whatever. And it was just crazy.
Which is illegal, apparently, in the state of California.
It is illegal in the state of California. It's probably illegal in more than just that area. But John Gruden, by the way, to anyone who continues to use that as a thing, John Gruden approved his use of that audio.
Yeah.
So that's not even a thing. But on Saturday morning, he ended up demanding a trade on an Instagram post. I'm not demanding a trade. Demanding his release on an Instagram post. And then he was cut later that day. And at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, he signed with the New England Patriots. If we were in any other location in this country, we'd probably be pretty pissed off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we're in New England, we're taking a victory lap.
Yes, we are from New England. So.
Going for Super Bowl number 7. So there's that.
You don't want to rub it in too much.
Don't want to rub it in too much.
You know, that's beauty of being a Pats fan.
Yeah.
You just feel bad.
You just feel bad.
It's like, oh, we got Antonio Brown too. I mean, it honestly, like, I'm not just saying this, but there's a chance that doesn't work out. Like, there's a real chance he gets cut. So
I agree.
There's a lot of like Patriots fans out there that are already like, oh, we want another Super Bowl, but like, calm down a little bit.
The thing I did, there's a couple of things I did want to note, fantasy wise, in terms of this. The addition of Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
There's a line in the sand between two parties. This hurts to me. This hurts Josh Gordon's value a lot.
Yes.
I don't think it hurts Julian's value, and I say this not as a Patriots fan, but as a lover of football, and watching the New England Patriots play every single Sunday. Tom Brady and Julian Edelman have a connection.
Yeah,
it's not like Antonio Brown's going to walk into New England and all of a sudden just rip that connection away from those two.
I would
guys.
only say like maybe his touchdowns may go down.
Yeah, like
Brown.
I think he'll see a little bit
gonna
decrease in targets just because Antonio Brown is there.
Yeah, but he's still going to be Julian Edelman.
Right, he's still going to be Julian Edelman. He's still going to be the guy you drafted.
Valuable,
right.
Yeah.
So he's fine. I think Josh Gordon is unstartable if Antonio Brown is in the lineup.
Yeah, his value definitely went down. I don't think you should get rid of him though. But he went from like before Antonio Brown was here, he was rising on a lot of leagues. Like he went from like a WR2 type situation to now he's like,
and he had a good
week one.
He had a good week one too.
At this point, though, he's probably nothing more than a bench piece.
Yeah, definitely. The Falcons, before the season started, signed wide receiver Julio Jones to a 3-year, $66 million extension through 2023. That is a lot of money. Ian Rappaport reports that Tyreek Hill, on Sunday, Tyreek Hill went down with an injury. That injury is a collarbone injury. It doesn't need surgery, but this report from Ian Rappaport said he's going to miss a few weeks. It is also being said that he is going to miss a lot longer than just a few weeks. Some people are saying till the end of October. Some people are saying midway through November. So it's getting.
So how about Sammy Watkins, everybody?
Yeah. Make sure you not pick up Watkins. You probably drafted him.
Somebody drafted him in like.
I was gonna say pick him up. I'm like, no, he's not on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Be sure to if you have Sammy Watkins, he now has top 15 value.
Yep.
Start him, especially in that offense. I did want to ask you though, does this increase Travis Kelce's value at all in terms of production? Because last week, he got 10 points last week, which is whatever.
He should have got more, but Mahomes went too fancy. The no-look pass to the.
I'm sure he got yelled at by a coach.
Probably.
He's getting too cute.
But yeah, I think it might just a little bit. But his value is already pretty high.
In bad or good?
Good.
Okay, so that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
It doesn't hurt him at all.
No.
He's
going to get a lot of targets.
Yeah,
him and Sammy Watkins are going to get a lot of targets.
I'm facing him this week, so frick me. Devin Funchess broke his collarbone as well in Indianapolis's Week 1 loss to the Chargers. The Colts placed Funchess on injured reserve. This does up Deion Kane and
Paris
Campbell's value a little bit. Don't run out to try to grab them unless you're in a 14 or 16 team league or in a dynasty league. And if you're in a dynasty league, they're probably already owned.
They are.
So Nick Foles, this is so sad. This was like the saddest news of the day for me. Nick Foles, he also had a collarbone injury. We're getting a run on collarbone injuries right now.
What's going on?
He was placed on injury reserve with a designation to return, so he might be able to return. I think it's after week 8. I'm not sure if that's entirely true. But Gardner Minshew will replace him, their 6th-round rookie quarterback.
He actually wasn't bad.
They also traded for Josh Dobbs from the Steelers.
Oh.
Don't remember what it was for. Maybe a 5th-round pick?
Yeah,
He's like, well.
Nick Foles, it was on a touchdown where he got hurt.
Yep.
And he was looking really good.
Oh, he looked fantastic.
Yeah. It looked like Jacksonville had something there at the beginning.
Gardner Minshew didn't look too bad,
No,
though.
he didn't.
Have you seen a picture of him?
No.
Look it up right now. He is scary looking.
What is that?
I'm not even going to... He looks like... He looks... Okay, think of like a... Before you look this up, think of like a 35 to 40-year-old high school coach in like the South.
Oh, gosh.
He has like a goatee without the bottom part on his chin. It's like a mustache and like a little rat tail underneath his lip. You seeing this guy right now?
Hold on.
He looks so ridiculous.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, he doesn't... The guy's like, I know. I'm like,
his mustache.
And then like the picture in the press conference, he was wearing like a polo tee post game. I was like, dude, this guy literally looks like a 35-year-old dad. What? Yeah, I'm also.
That's a football player right there.
That is the new starting quarterback.
That is a football player.
Of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tevin Coleman is expected to miss time after suffering a sprained ankle. If you have Matt Breida, start him. If you have a Raheem Mostert, which I'm assuming that you do not because not a lot of people were out to grab him. I think he might be worth a flyer on the waiver wire. He'll probably make it through waivers this week, and you can probably grab him on Wednesday morning without using any of your waiver budget. Darius Geis underwent an MRI Monday, and he is likely to miss time. I believe it's a meniscus injury. Jimmy Fowler reports that it is a meniscus injury, so he's not expected to miss significant time. But in his absence, like you said, Adrian Peterson obviously gets a bump, and what's his name? Chris Thompson. We were talking about this before the show, by the way. That's why I said
yes.
I do disagree with the Adrian Peterson thing, though. I'm not sure I see any real upside. If you're going to pick up a guy on the Redskins running back,
I would rather Chris Thompson. But
yeah, I would say Chris Thompson. Adrian Peterson right now, his team's already ticked off that he was inactive on Sunday. So Juju Smith-Schuster, he had a toe injury in the game. He's expected to be fine, and he will play week 2. Sterling Shepard may be dealing with a concussion, so keep your eye on that if you are interested in starting Sterling Shepard this week. Greg Olsen has a back injury. He did not practice this Monday. Dontrell Hillard has a concussion. He missed practice today. And then Greg Olsen, he also says he plans to suit up for Sunday, but the situation on the short week, because he's playing on Thursday, is not ideal. So that is all the news we have for you right now. Let's get into our quick reactions from Sunday. Sunday's week 1 of the NFL season.
We've been waiting so long for this.
Well, we waited so long for this. It is so anticlimactic because nobody is ready to play. Literally no one. Every week, every single year, week 1 is always a cluster for every fantasy team, and then you get the overreactors who sell their entire team in one week.
Yeah,
I've done that before, and then you get people who just stand pat and say, "I don't know what my team looks like yet. I'm not trading nobody." So it's just a weird week. This particular year, we had a lot of rookie wide receivers and tight ends,
which is
not one tight end really,
kind of abnormal.
It's very abnormal.
Yeah,
like sometimes one guy or two guys really have
rookie
a great
receivers
week 1, but
always struggle. There's very few cases where rookie receiver.
Does that lend to the fact that this class of wide receivers was talked about as one of the best in
it's
a
very
few years.
deep.
It's a very deep class.
Yeah.
But
there was not supposed to be any like Julio Joneses or DeAndre Hopkins or like superstar receivers.
The other thing that you would notice in these games is how much guys like Tyreek Hill are affecting the game of football because how fat. Like when I saw Marquise Brown, I was watching the Ravens game, and when I saw Marquise Brown shoot down the field after he caught that ball, I was
shot out of a cannon.
He literally looked like Tyreek Hill. He was so fast. What is his name? Terry McLaurin from the Washington Redskins. He's a rookie. He was so fast. Like all of these guys, with the exception of T.J. Hawkinson, were really.
He was. You know what though?
He actually looked pretty fast
for how big he is. He was zooming by linebackers.
If Hawk is on his path to being Gronk, he's on his way.
Yeah,
I think he had his receiving line was like 124 yards and a touchdown. So
yeah, really good.
That's really good for a rookie tight end. Like going into this week, it makes me look like an idiot. And you look like an idiot, and 90% of the fantasy football community look like an idiot unless you're in a dynasty league. Because redraft people don't draft. Unless you're in an extremely deep league, you don't draft rookies. You stay away from rookie wide receivers.
The only guys that were getting drafted in redrafts were like DK Metcalf.
Yeah. And
that was like 13th round.
I mean, Metcalf, what he had, 8 points?
Yeah, he was okay too.
And had PPR. But yeah, so it was a very interesting week. It started with my disappointing. It was actually an all-around disappointing game 1, really. The Bears, was it the Packers at the Bears? Yeah, Packers at Bears.
Yep.
They David Montgomery came out. He played only 38% of the snaps. He got like 7 touches. He outperformed Mike Davis, and they wouldn't give him any
Oh, yeah,
work.
you were flipping out on Twitter.
I was heated. I still
Anybody
am.
who follows that man on Twitter knows.
Freaking Matt Nagy,
He sent like
dude.
20 tweets.
How stupid can you be? Like, I can't... This is my react. This is literally my only quick reaction for week 1. How stupid can coaches be? I watched the Bears, right? The Bears' offense was not working.
Oh, it's brutal.
It was brutal, and they didn't do anything to change it. And you could say the same thing about the Packers, but I just want to focus on Matt Nagy for a second. Matt Nagy gets and I heard somebody say this, can't remember who it was, but he gets way too cute with his play calling. The first play of the game when he lined up three, like I can't remember. I think Mitch Trubisky was lined up at tight end. Like, I don't even know. It was just such a stupid play call.
They had the 3 running back set, right?
Yeah. But it was like, that happened, and then they wouldn't shift away from Mike Davis the entire game. They just kept on giving it to Mike Davis, and Mike Davis was just not running well. He was okay, but like David Montgomery would come in, and then he'd get an 8-yard run, and he would like electrify the offense and all that stuff. It got to the point where Bears fans just started booing Mitch Trubisky off the field, and I couldn't figure out if they were booing Trubisky or booing Matt Nagy, because
probably
both of them
just
sucked.
the offense.
And then on Sunday, the Bills game, they gave Devin Singletary 70% of the snap share, and he didn't get a touch until halfway through the third quarter. And you know what happened when they started giving Singletary touches?
He did pretty good with it.
He did pretty good, and they actually scored 17 points to come back.
Now, at least in that case, they weren't running the ball at all. I don't think they had a carry in the first quarter.
That's what I would
like. Their
say
first
about
16 plays were passing plays.
But they did give a majority. Like, I think it was 11 carries to Frank Gore.
Yes,
Frank Gore only had like somewhere around 30% snap.
Yeah, he had more.
Maybe
when he was out there, he was getting the ball on the ground.
An interesting thing to note about that particular game is that TJ Yeldon only had, I believe, 4 snaps in the entire game. So if you were worried about that as a Devin Singletary owner.
Now, once again, we warned you. I've been saying this. Frank Gore is the rookie running back slayer.
He really is.
Or young running back slayer. If you have a young
only
running
in an
back
Adam Gase offense.
Yeah. No, he's on the Bills, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Adam Gase is on the Jets.
No, that's what I'm saying, is that Frank Gore is no longer in Adam Gase's offense, so he will finally not slay the rookie.
Not in week 1.
Yeah, that's true.
He carried him.
He had 12 half PPR fantasy points, which is not terrible.
No.
But that was another stupid scenario. They're going to ride Frank Gore. Like, how stupid can you be? And then there was one more scenario.
Frank Gore is okay, but he's like a change of down.
In the Ravens game, now I understand that they want to go in that direction. I can understand using Mark Ingram and Justice Hill, but the amount of carries that Gus Edwards got in that Ravens game was just asinine. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
But at least
it was a great offensive performance, but Mark Ingram was so good in that game. He said he was going to go with the hot hand, and he gave Mark Ingram 14 carries.
But wasn't that because they were up by like 30 at halftime?
Oh, yeah. But
so
it
wasn't majority of his carries in the second half.
Yeah.
Gus Edwards. So that's actually a good thing if you're a Mark Ingram owner, in my opinion.
But I think coaches around the league, things will get worked out.
No, I know what you're saying.
Things will get worked out.
CJ Anderson getting the same amount of carries as Kerryon Johnson, I believe. I'll look up the exact total.
Yep.
But like that too, it's like, what are you doing?
But David Montgomery on Thursday Night Football disappointed everybody in the world. And I got a lot of hate from people about telling them to start David Montgomery over certain players. One guy, this was actually kind of funny. I recommended that somebody start Montgomery. So somebody commented on it again and said, he retweeted it and said, don't do this. Like he said, start David. I said start David Montgomery over Aaron Jones because Aaron Jones is facing the Chicago Bears D.
Right.
And he was like, he retweeted and he said, don't do this. And then Aaron Jones got 4.4 fantasy points and David Montgomery got 5, so I win by 8.6.
Yeah, they're both garbo.
Both of them were very bad. I think that I don't know that both offenses are going to look this bad the rest of the season, but I don't know. It was just horrendous. It was a bad first game.
Yeah.
I wanted to note that Kyle Murray was pretty good. He had a bad first half. Yeah, rough first half. But when he started to figure it out and they started figuring out the play calling and working together, I think he ended with 22 fantasy points.
Solid.
For a rookie quarterback, that's pretty solid. I don't even know how much of that was running either.
He had I think he had 1 or 2 big runs, but it was majority through the air.
I don't know if you wanted to bring up the Derrick Henry thing, but
you can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Derrick Henry had 28 fantasy points in a half PPR setting.
Yes. You know what stinks?
What?
I want to bring this up. All year we've been talking about like Derrick Henry and where he was getting drafted is not a good spot. I still
think he's a bust.
But right before the season started,
you shifted
like
focus.
Friday,
you were like, no.
I was like, dude, I'm gonna do a 180 on Derrick Henry. I actually like him, and I like him this week.
And you called me nuts. League.
Yeah, that is true. You were like, dude,
you were
wild,
like trying
to
convince yourself. You are wild.
He got 29 points.
Yep. So this is what I kind of look at for Derrick Henry is that, and I did the same thing for Marlon Mack, is that you can't look at the surface level for these players. You have to look at the actual, like dig into the statistics and figure out what actually happened. Is Derrick Henry going to catch more than 10 balls this year? Because last year, I think he had 8.
He'll probably end up with around 10.
10 to 15. So his one catch in that game is going to what went for like 75 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, it was a screen pass.
If you assume that he doesn't get that one catch for 75 yards, he had 19 rushes for 84 yards. In a half PPR setting and a full PPR setting, that's 8.4 fantasy points. With the touchdown, it got him up to like 14 or 15. So on a normal week when he doesn't score a touchdown, Derrick Henry will probably get around.
What if he gets like 15 touchdowns?
Well, if he gets 15 touchdowns, then it's a whole nother story, but I don't know if I want to believe that. Do you think Derrick Henry's going to get 15 touchdowns?
No, probably not. I think he
he could get 10, but they're 12. Not like they'll be spaced. And I think a lot of people, like I told you before the show, I said Derrick Henry's going to be one of those players that you want to rely on, but you just can't. He might have a stretch of like 3 games where he gets a touchdown.
I'd be a lot more confident if I had other good players around Derrick Henry.
I think he's just in a half PPR and in a full PPR setting. Like in a standard league, Derrick Henry's perfectly fine. I think he's a great RB2, and you can roll with him your entire season and slide him in your starting lineup. But the problem with Henry in a half PPR and full PPR setting is that he's at such a disadvantage because he doesn't catch balls. That's why I didn't draft him in our league, and that's why I called him a bust, because people were drafting him in half PPR and full PPR leagues in the third or fourth round. It was like, why are you doing that? It's like way too much.
Week 1 looked pretty good, but
yeah, week 1 looked
you're right, though. The 75-yard catch is not going to happen again.
No.
But on the ground, I think like he will get 80 yards a game. Just about.
Yeah, I don't think.
Because I think he's going to get like 20 carries a night or very close to it. So
yeah,
I think he, in half PPR, if you have other solid running backs around him, because I do think he might be inconsistent from week to week, but it's similar to like, not the same level, but similar to like a Tyreek Hill, where he can go off one week and then like bust the next week.
I don't think he's going to. There might be weeks where, because he's not that reception is not going to happen.
No, it won't.
There are going to be weeks where he'll probably get like 2 touchdowns or something like that, and then there's going to be weeks.
That's what I'm saying. Right?
There's going to be weeks where
he'll get like 6 fantasy.
He'll get like 6. He'll get like 60 yards, and that'll be it.
Right.
Maybe like 1
catch.
I just think guys like Aaron Jones, guys like Kerryon Johnson, Leonard Fournette, those guys of the world that you drafted in the same region are way better values in fantasy football, just because, like Leonard Fournette, for example, he didn't score on Sunday, but he got 99 yards and I think it was 4 catches. And
in the long run, those receptions will matter, especially.
Yeah, definitely. And then the only other one I wanted to talk about is Sunday night. The Patriots just friggin' throttled.
Yeah, that was
those Steelers.
That game was over,
and they don't have AB yet.
5 minutes.
Watch out. Is there anything you wanted to? Oh, the Monday Night Football game was spectacular between the Saints and the Houston Texans.
That was the best game of the week.
Low key rooting for after that call. The Houston Texans score a touchdown. They need a field goal to take the lead, an extra point to take the lead. And they kick it, and the guy freaking chokes and misses. But they did like this chintzy. It was a chintzy roughing the kicker call.
Yeah.
And they had to reset it, and he ended up hitting it and taking the lead. I felt good for the Saints. I'm not gonna lie.
I was rooting for Houston before that just because I have Deshaun Watson.
I was just like, how many times are the refs gonna do this? Like, it's such a snippy call. Like, that's like a game deciding moment. We don't want as NFL fans, we do not want referees involved in game winning decisions.
No,
like
absolutely not.
Or in any sport.
But Drew Brees and Deshaun Watson had fantastic games.
Yeah,
that was a great quarterback battle and 2 very good teams that will probably both make the playoffs.
Yep. Let's move on to our waiver wire additions. This is what you came for.
Yes.
It only took us 25 minutes. So we're going to go through some of our waiver wire ads, and then we're going to go through our QB streaming options for the week, and we'll close out the show. So let's start off. I wanted to start off with the wide receivers and discuss some options here. This is actually last year. There was a similar situation. Like I don't know if you know, week 1, Kenny Stills had 22.
I do recall that. Yeah, actually.
I don't know how many waiver budget or free agent acquisition budget was wasted.
Somebody threw at least $200.
Yeah. I guarantee that happened.
Yeah.
They're like, Dolphins offense. If some of these guys didn't go off, I think Albert Wilson probably would have been that because he didn't have a horrible day.
Yeah, he didn't. He actually.
But the number one guy I wanted to talk about personally, and he was probably like, as one thing that I like to do as I go through wide receivers, at least in fantasy football, is I like to look at, every week there's going to be guys that have a touchdown and 100 yards on like 4 receptions. So what I like to look for is target share and the number of yards that the guy gets. If they got 120 yards on 7 receptions for like 10 targets, then that's a guy that is worth going after. If the guy got 4 targets and caught 4 balls for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, there's a lot of volatility there. And yes, maybe it's worth a pickup and a look, but there's a lot of volatility there. Not every wide receiver is Tyler Lockett and can get away. I want to note that Tyler Lockett had one catch for a touchdown for 40 yards. Yeah.
That's just what he does. If anybody had Tyler Lockett in 2018, they know exactly
what is he a bust? About. I don't know. We're getting the exact same Lockett.
He gets like 1 to 5 catches. So he gets like 90 yards every time.
The one guy that I saw on the waiver wire this week that I was like, he was a guy that I was looking at before because there was a lot of talk around getting him 100 receptions, but it was Jamison Crowder.
Yep.
In a standard league, I want to note this, in a standard league, do not pick Jamison Crowder up off your waiver wire. I'm telling you this now before we get into the Jamison Crowder hype because you are going to love him. You're going to be like, oh my God, this guy's so great. 14 receptions for 99 yards is gross. Like, that's gross. That's like, what is that, 6 yards a reception?
Yeah.
That's much. Just what Adam Gase's offense kind of looks like for slot receivers. So anyway, in a standard league, he's probably only going to get like 60 to 70 yards a game. Yeah, and he's not really that valuable. In half PPR, when you are a guy that can get 8 to 10 receptions a game, that is extremely valuable. And this is the way that I look at it with Jamison Crowder. This might be a overestimation, but if he does get targeted 10, 11, 12 times a game as a slot receiver and gets 60 to 70 yards, and he pulls down like 8 catches, you're talking about 11, 12, 13 points a week. So his upside, his floor is like 11 to 14 points, right? And then when he scores a touchdown, his upside is, even higher. It's his upside's like 20 points that given week. So I think Jamison Crowder, I'm not saying he's going to be a wide receiver 1. I'm not saying he's going to be a high-end guy, but he's worth a look to put on your bench and to see if he can become a wide receiver 2. Yes, the numbers are gross. Yes, he's he's not a sexy pick. You're going to look at John Ross. You're going to look at Marquise Brown. We're going to talk about them in a second. This is not the sexy pick. This is the going to get you 10 receptions a game.
Because...
like, that's...
Yeah, when you're looking to pick up guys this week, the whole league is too. They're all going to be trying to get John Ross. They're all going to be trying to get Hollywood Brown, which aren't bad pickups. No. But this is somebody who you're probably going to get at a solid value, and it's worth it. Because anyone who was watching that game saw Sam Darnold was loving... like, the connection between Crowder and Sam Darnold was awesome. He's clearly the number 1 target for Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. He's the security blanket. 17 targets. That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Now, does Demaryius Thomas getting traded there have any...
Yeah, we forgot to talk about that in the news segment. Demaryius Thomas was traded to the New York Jets for a 6th-round pick to the Patriots. I don't know. They play 2 very different roles.
They do.
Like... Robbie, that's more of like they're worried about Robbie Anderson's injury than anything else.
Wasn't Quincy Enunwa didn't he get hurt? He got hurt in the game. I don't know if it was if he came back.
There was no news on it, so I don't remember. I mean, if you're in a league and you desperately need a starting wide, like you're not Crowder, deep at wide receiver.
Yeah,
this guy could be somebody that you pick up and you could start like the first week.
Crowder's going to get 10 in half PPR or a full PPR league. Jamison Crowder,
and trust me, like
10 points every week.
10 points every week is not a like Like I said, it's not sexy. It's not.
No.
It's not pretty watching him. It's like having Julian Edelman almost in a context that Julian Edelman's not one of those guys that you look at and you go, "Oh, I want that guy on my team." I'm going to get you 11, 12, 13, 14 points a week, and maybe every once in a while I'll put a touchdown up. That's what Jamison Crowder might be this year.
I think that's what he is going to be. And honestly,
17 targets is a lot. Like, you can't ignore 17 targets.
No, you can't. And in a full PPR league, he might be like 15 to 18 points a week.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not anything crazy.
Right.
But that's very, very good production. And he's going to get that a week, not including a touchdown. So if he adds like 6 to 10 touchdowns,
right,
he's going to be a real player. I think he's definitely worth a pickup this week.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Number 2, the guy that I see here is Marquise Brown.
Hollywood Brown.
He's owned in 30% of leagues, so he's available.
That's higher than I thought it would be.
Very high. There's a lot of people who were in. There are people in fantasy football who love drafting rookie wide receivers and then get burned every year and don't learn from it. I don't understand. I don't get it at all. Maybe that 30% of leagues is dynasty leagues.
Probably.
But he's owned in 30% of ESPN and Yahoo leagues. I don't even know if ESPN and Yahoo do dynasty. But anyway, Marquise Brown, this is a difficult one for me. He's not a player that you can snag this week, and I know we're going to get these. We're going to get questions this week on Sunday morning. Should I start Marquise Brown this week? He does have a good matchup against Arizona.
I was just going to say he does have a good matchup, yeah.
But here's the thing on Marquise Brown, and this is the big problem that I've had from the get-go from him. Do you know how many snaps he played?
How many?
18. Do you know how many routes he ran where how many targets he had?
4. Right?
5.
He had 5, okay.
5 targets, 4 receptions. Yeah. So he had 18%. No, he had 8 snaps and 18% of the snap share.
Was that partly because did he play in the second half?
Yes.
He did?
Yeah. I mean, he's a rookie. Why would you not play him in the second half? Like, if it was Tyreek Hill, I would be like, okay, yeah, take him out. But, he needs,
reps. Yeah.
Reps. So he played the second half.
Well, that's
Marquise Brown did not get... Now, can he, after that performance, get, sit down with John Harbaugh and him for him to be like, we're going to put you on the field a lot more this Sunday.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Yes, I believe that. And if he does get up to a 60 to 70% snap share instead, I'm thinking that Lamar Jackson will throw it to him a lot. Marquise Brown is a long play. He's a guy that you want to pick up, stash on your bench, see if he turns into something, and then if by the end of the season, because usually rookie wide receivers start playing a lot better in the second half of the year. If he's a guy that starts playing better in the second half of the year, you could have a great wide receiver. But as of right now, yes, he's an option to go after. But for me, I don't even know. He's available in all my leagues, and I don't even know if I have a claim on him yet, just because he reminds me of Calvin Ridley, where, boom, this guy's here. And then, 3 weeks in a row, he's going to get, 2. And then, that would not be surprising to me in the
No, it wouldn't be for me either. The hard thing, as you said, that 5 targets.
5 targets, 8 snaps.
He did a lot with those 5 targets, but still 5 targets.
He was on the field 8 times. You know who was on the field more than him?
Who?
A wide receiver named Seth Roberts.
Oh, gosh.
He actually led the team in snap share.
So I would still pick him up.
Oh, yeah.
But there's other guys, I would rather pick up Jamison Crowder before I go Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Just because of the targets.
Okay, you're sitting there and, you're in a waiver budget league, or you're just a straight waiver league. Okay. Are you taking him with your first waiver priority in a straight waiver league?
If Jamison Crowder is available, no.
Okay, or how much would you put on him in terms of waiver budget?
I wouldn't go nuts with it. I'd probably 5%, 10. Yeah, I really wouldn't do too much with it. I would still want him on my team. I would make the effort to get him on my team, but I wouldn't go crazy with it.
Yeah. For me, I'd probably put somewhere around 14 to 16, and I just 14 to 16 waiver dollars.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, I just don't want to put too much of my budget towards a guy who could just be, a complete bust for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Yeah. He has a really good week 1 and then doesn't perform the rest of the season. But the Baltimore Ravens are in a very unique scenario where they have no receivers. Like, it's not like they have a veteran, besides Willie Snead maybe, a veteran sitting there taking those reps and taking those snaps. And, like, there's a chance that if he becomes the starter and he's the main guy, that he could get all those reps.
Yeah.
The guys that I've talked about, like Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd and guys like that, in their rookie seasons, they had to play next to AJ Green. You know what I mean? Like, or Julio Jones. You know what I mean? So it's like when you have a guy next to you, it's harder to produce that. But Marquise Brown is the guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely put a waiver claim in on him, but I don't know how much I would do it. If you're into depth for wide receivers, I would pick Marquise Brown up. But if you need wide receivers desperately, like, I'm really deep at wide receiver in our fantasy league, so I would pick up Marquise Brown as like a stash thing.
Yeah.
But like, I would go no further than that. If you're a team that's really weak at wide receiver, pick up Jamison Crowder. Make him your number one priority this week, because Marquise Brown might be good in 10 weeks, but if you don't have wide receivers and you got to win now, what would you rather do? The third guy, John Ross. I looked at numbers. Don't ever look at numbers, and I would go to Player Profiler and do your research, but you
heard
get
it here
sweaty.
first. Don't ever look at numbers.
Don't ever look at numbers. Just go with your gut. John Ross, 3 years ago. 2 years ago. This is his third season, I believe.
Yeah.
He was picked round number 1,
Ninth
pick
overall.
9.
Yep.
Is this a breakout for John Ross?
Yes. Kind of. Well,
Okay.
here's the problem.
He says yes,
all right,
kind of. Here's the problem. Should you pick up John Ross? Yes,
right.
kind of.
I
Here's the
love John
problem.
Ross. I had him on my team last year. He's always injured.
Indecisive.
Because there's problems with John Ross. He's injury prone. When AJ Green comes back, he's going to be the third option.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to put $140 on him.
Then make it 141 because he's coming to my team, baby. There's just so many questions with John Ross. I love the player though. He's electric.
He's awesome. Yeah.
If you watch him play, and like, you get why he was drafted 9th overall.
He did have, when I looked at some of the highlights, just a note, he did have a couple of balls that he just completely dropped out of his hands, and he looked a little slow on his routes, but overall he did look electric. He looked pretty good.
And the talent's there. It's just that the 31 fantasy points and a half PPR is kind of deceiving a little bit, because again, I'm so concerned with the AJ Green thing. But on the flip side, you could also say AJ Green is also injury prone. So when he comes back, how long is he actually going to be back?
Right.
So I do like John Ross. I do. And we've talked about this in the past. Year 3 is a big breakout year for wide receivers.
Yeah.
It's his third year in the league. Like, it's,
you want to believe it, but then there's this real possibility that next week he gets 1 point, and you're just like, oh gosh. For me, here's what my situation is.
Okay.
I love John Ross. I think John Ross is going to be really good in AJ Green's absence. My problem is the long term. If you, like I said, going back to the Jamison Crowder thing, if you need depth now, you need guys now to start for your team, then I would go pick up John Ross and play him in the time that AJ Green is gone. Otherwise, I would avoid him. If you're looking for a long play, don't pick up John Ross. Like, if you want to pick up John Ross and then 2 weeks later sell him before AJ Green gets back to the unsuspecting suitor, then feel free. But, like, I just don't want to waste my waiver budget on a guy that may actually turn out next week to be a bust.
If you're in a waiver budget situation, I would be cautious with that.
Yeah. Because there's going to be guys that are going to spend a crap ton on him.
But if you're in just like a regular waiver league,
my God, it's John Ross,
where it's like waiver priorities and stuff like that, then I would definitely take a shot at John Ross.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, budget, I wouldn't go nuts with it.
I mean,
would you rather?
This is actually. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What you were saying. I was going to say this is actually probably like week 1. The amount of receivers that are available right now.
There's a lot.
It's crazy. What were you going to say?
Just quickly, would you rather John Ross or Hollywood Brown right now?
I would probably take Hollywood Brown.
Okay. I would rather take John Ross, but it's close.
Okay. Yeah, I would rather take Hollywood Brown because I think he's
long run,
higher upside type player. Like, because when AJ Green gets back, John Ross becomes basically irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, well, not basically irrelevant, but he definitely goes down.
Yeah. I mean,
My thing is like
how many fantasy points do you really think John Ross is going to score as the third wide receiver on an offense? Tyler Boyd's going to get the targets.
Yeah.
AJ Green's going to get his targets.
But my thing is how
that shows me that when AJ Green comes back, my word, you know what I mean? He could be really good.
People have been talking about the Bengals offense all season and being like terrible.
Trashing on
if
them,
they're all healthy, they're really not that bad. John Ross, Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, Joe Mixon.
Yep.
That's actually a lot of talent for the weapons.
True. There was other guys, Terry McLaurin. You could make that into some kind of car joke, and I'm pretty sure people have already done that, but I'm not sure. You have Mecole Hardman. Hardman is a decent ad, considering the injury to Sammy Watkins. Mm-hmm. The speed of Mecole Hardman is probably going to replace that of Tyreek Hill. In his absence, so I don't know. We'll see this week if that's really a good play. I would wait 1 week and then start.
I mean,
unless you have a spot, no one's going out and picking up Mecole Hardman this week. I mean, somebody might in your league, some crazy deep guy, but he's a good look. Terry McLaurin had a really good rookie start to the week. Devontae Parker's not a guy I would ever get in.
What about Danny Amendola?
Amendola is an interesting player. And he's owned in 4% of leagues. He had 13 targets, 7 receptions. He had a very good week 1. In a PPR league and in a half PPR league, I think he's worth owning. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's the Lions offense.
Yeah.
It's not that the Lions completely sucked, because Matt Stafford was good and that offense
Matt Stafford's
is good.
A solid quarterback, and they have weapons.
I just think Danny Amendola, they're modeling their entire offense, and we've seen this. They're modeling their entire offense around the New England Patriots. They got T.J. Hawkinson, Danny Amendola, slot receiver, who they literally got from the Patriots. And I don't even know if Amendola is a slot receiver. I think he's a streaker. I don't know. He had 13 targets, though. Is that going to happen again? We don't know. If you have the spot, who would you drop for Danny Amendola?
I mean, the way some players played,
yeah, that's true.
A lot, actually, to be honest.
Yeah,
it really depends. If you're in a full PPR league, I would definitely pick up Danny Amendola, because I do think he's going to get 7 catches a game.
Chris Conley and the other wide receiver from Jacksonville, DJ Chark. Both of them are actually interesting ads. I would keep, and I don't think either of them, to be honest with you, are going to get added in leagues this year. I mean, this week. I'm sorry.
The Nick Foles injury.
Especially with the Nick Foles injury, I think there might be some person that picks them up, but I would keep an eye on. If your fantasy platform has a way of watching players, I would put the watch marker on them and make sure you can see them on a regular basis. Cole Beasley is maybe a decent ad. He's owned in 15% of leagues, but outside of that, I don't really see.
What about John Brown?
Oh my God, I don't know. I don't really want John Brown. He had 21 points, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
and half PPR.
He's the main receiver in Buffalo.
He is.
This another How many targets did he have?
I'll bring that up right now.
I'm curious, how many leagues is he owned in?
John Brown had 10 targets.
Interesting.
123 yards and a touchdown.
See, that's not bad. I'd wait a week, because he's probably not going to get picked up this week. I'd wait a week and just see.
After that week.
Yeah. And then the only other guy I wanted to mention is AJ Brown. He had a decent first week as a rookie. It was 3 catches though, so I wouldn't even put any capital.
If you're going to get a rookie, I think Hollywood Brown would probably.
Really quickly going over some running backs. I had Gio Bernard is obviously probably the number 1 ad of the week, considering that Joe Mixon probably can't stay on the field for his life.
Oh, poor guy, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely be a little bit lenient in that. But Gio Bernard is definitely a pickup, because my thing is that we talked about Joe Mixon at the beginning of the year as he lost one of his best linemen. He's in an offense that isn't spectacular. How good is he going to be? He got 2 fantasy points in 3 quarters before he got hurt, and it's like Giovanni Bernard replacing Joe Mixon actually any good?
The only difference is Bernard will probably. I mean, but even then, Mixon is involved in the passing game too, so it's.
Yeah.
But the hope would be Bernard can do a lot in the passing game and still get 10 to 15 carries and do something with that too.
I also wanted to note Ronald Jones.
He is actually
34.8% of leagues right now.
Ronald Jones is my number 1 ad for running backs.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Over Bernard. If you watched God forbid, if you watched the 49ers Buccaneers game, Ronald Jones actually had a stretch in the game where he was dominant.
Yeah.
They kept feeding him the ball. He got like 10-yard run.
Yep.
They gave it to him again. He got another 10-yard run.
Oh, he looked...
The crowd was... I don't remember if it was in Tampa or not. But either way, he was energetic.
The crowd was getting into it.
I was gonna say the crowd was into it, but I remember after he would get a 10-yard run, he would like stand up and start screaming like how Dalvin Cook that type of running back. He was like really into the game. I think I want to pull up his stats. I believe he had like 75 yards on 13 carries, which is pretty solid. He had his only target went for 18 yards, so yeah, pretty solid. Yeah. He had a very, very solid game, and he was not the starter.
He had 36. Peyton Barber had 36% of the snaps. Ronald Jones had 31% of the snaps, and Dare Ogunbowale had 39% of the snaps.
Good job.
39. He led the team. Dare led the team in snap percentage. It's because he's the passing down back.
Yeah, he is.
So don't go out and be like, oh my God, Dare, let's go. Or is it Dar? Or Dar? Some people say Dairy. I don't know. I don't know how to say it.
Sure. I think after this week, though, Tampa will be like,
get yourself.
Ronald Jones, I think, outplayed Peyton Barber enough where this week he's going to get more carries than him and more snaps.
Get yourself a Rojo.
We'll see. I think he's the number one running back, but there's not a lot of running backs.
Friggin' drafted him and then dropped him. My life. I think Ronald Jones is a great ad this week. I would agree with you. He's number one on my list. He had in the small. I think he had 14 carries, and what's his name? Peyton Barber had 14 carries as well. So they split evenly. And Ronald Jones did way better with his carries than Peyton Barber did. Peyton Barber is just a straight bad running back. Like, I don't even know how he still has the amount of workload that he gets. He's just not good. Last year he averaged like 3.1 yards a carry.
He was better than Ronald Jones last year, though.
Oh, yeah. Ronald Jones was really bad. But if Ronald Jones continues to play at this level, you might actually have somebody that could be decent. The only other person I wanted to talk about at the running back position was Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, that's because of the Rams situation.
Okay, so you want to know something? Todd Gurley got 70% of the snap share. He did really good with his workload, and he was actually, I think he had 100 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. He had 5.5 something yards per carry.
Oh, he actually, when he was out there,
he was out there. He was very good. A lot of people are going to be, oh my God, Todd Gurley sucks. No, he was very good. Malcolm Brown came in and vultured 2 touchdowns away from him in the red zone. That is concerning if you are a Todd Gurley owner.
Oh, big time. That's why
is that enough to go out and get Malcolm Brown?
I wouldn't go out of the way to get Malcolm Brown. That's just me.
Come on, bro. $100 of waiver budget? No. If you need, like, it's clear to me at this point that this is probably what this team's going to be. Todd Gurley's upside has always been his touchdowns or the touchdown rate. Mm-hmm. And he's been able to get an insane amount of touchdowns.
I wouldn't
like
go
his
out of my
upside
way for Malcolm Brown,
I wouldn't go out of my way for Malcolm Brown either. But if you need a running back and he's going to sit here and vulture for multiple weeks, then it might be worth a snag.
Yeah,
but it might also just
some
been
weeks
game script.
Might be Gurley. Some weeks Daryl Henderson might be getting in the end zone.
Sean McVay, like when the excuse of this knee injury came out, I think he just rejoiced because he was like, "Oh, now I can go to 2 running backs." Everyone loves the 2 running back thing. Malcolm Brown did actually look good on his snaps, though. I would not waste my money on Malcolm Brown, at least for tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
And then let's just quickly go over a couple tight ends. 35% owned in leagues is Darren Waller.
I'm surprised it's that high, actually.
Yeah. Darren Waller is, to me, I talked about, there's a couple of guys on the waiver wire. Now, we talked about how we like Trey Burton, talked about how we like Austin Hooper. I recently, in the last 3 weeks, did a flip on some of those guys. Not a flip. I think Austin Hooper's still going to be a top 6
I still
tight
like
end.
Austin Hooper.
I still think Trey Burton's going to be like a top 7 tight end. So those guys are going to be there. But when you look for a tight end, I started looking for the next George Kittle. Last year when we started the season.
Right, yep.
Marquise Goodwin, right? Marquise Goodwin on the 49ers. You had him. You had Dante Pettis. You looked at the receiver core and you're like, it's shaky. George Kittle finished as a top 6 tight end the year before. He looked pretty decent. Now he's one of the number 1 targets on the 49ers, right? Mm-hmm. He comes in, week 1, boom. People spend all their waiver budget on George Kittle as a number 1 tight end. I was looking for tight ends this week that were that. Mark Andrews, Mike Gesicki, and Darren Waller are those 3 guys that I think are like the main targets in their offense. Now, you can take the Dolphins off the list. I'm throwing all Dolphins away.
Mike Gesicki.
Put it in the garbage can. But Darren Waller and Mark Andrews are 2 fantastic tight ends. The thing I've been battling is Mark Andrews, because I have the option of both Mark Andrews or Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Darren Waller is in my starting tight end position right now. Do I drop Darren Waller? Do I pick up Mark Andrews?
I would say Mark Andrews is the better option between the two, but Darren Waller, I was just going
because he's in
to
a better offense.
Yes, and I was just going to say with Darren Waller, the George Kittle thing was the exact point I was going to make up, where he could be this year's George Kittle. I don't think he's going to be as good as George Kittle, but the situation that he's in is similar to George Kittle. Correct. Well, they do have
on Hard Knocks. John Gruden straight said, "Our offense runs through the tight end." Like, it didn't take long last night.
No, it didn't.
It's like first drive, 3 receptions for I think it was like 35 yards.
I mean, Tyrell Williams is
the number 1,
right,
which is why I would kind of lean towards Mark Andrews. But at the same time, you have that upside there. I really like Darren Waller.
I do too.
Like that's the thing is when you look at a team, you're looking at the tight end position. What target is that guy? And this is the problem that I was having with Hooper and Burton. Is that Burton is like the 3rd guy in his offense. Hooper's like maybe even the 4th guy in his offense. When you look at Darren Waller and Mark Andrews, who's the number 1 receiving target on the Baltimore Ravens right now?
Hollywood Brown. It's probably Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews. Who's the number 1 receiving target on the Oakland Raiders? Now, before last night, I would have said Darren Waller. After last night, I will say Tyrell Williams then Darren Waller.
Yeah, it was Tyrell Williams.
But Hunter Renfrow is not your second target right now. It's clear to me that it's Darren Waller.
Yeah. Yep.
So I would pick up Darren Waller. I don't know if there's anybody else that you would target as a tight end for this week.
I mean, other than those 2 guys, there's not really too much out there.
Yeah. I wrote down
if like Austin Hooper is available in your league still and undrafted.
What are we doing? There's one guy out there. 41% of leagues. His name is TJ Hawkinson.
Oh,
what are we doing?
The Hawk, baby.
Get yourself on the. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I would like put $60 down on Hawkinson right now.
Are you serious?
Yes, dude. I would.
Dude, whatever happened?
I sound like insane, but I would. What happened all year? If he is what we think he is, like you got yourself Gronk. He's a top 3 tight end, automatic.
Not for this year though. That's right. And I've been on the Hawk train. I was the one in this show. I've been saying to draft TJ Hawkinson.
But you were right though, because I didn't expect them to utilize him as much as they are, and they're trying to utilize him like.
Well, that's what I was saying.
But he's a top 10 pick, and if he's successful the first game of his, like, I'm putting $50-$60 on him right now. Somebody's gonna do that and burn. They're gonna come back at me and they're gonna be like, "Dude, you were an idiot."
I love the Hawk.
Okay, don't do that. I'll leave that.
Don't
let me do it for you.
Yeah, you do it and tell everybody how it worked out.
Yeah.
Too bad he's not available in our league.
Yeah, he's not available in any of my leagues because like I have 10 bench spots in other leagues. It's so ridiculous.
I like the Hawk though.
I ended up with Noah Fant in my dynasty.
But, okay, so out of the Hawk or Mark Andrews, who would you take?
I would take Mark Andrews.
And you would still put $50?
Maybe I was overreacting a little bit.
I think that was a bit of a stretch.
It was a stretch. No, I mean, if we're talking like realistically, if Hawk was on the waiver wire right now for me, I would probably put between $30 and $35 on him because of how valuable he is. I don't know how much I would put on Mark Andrews. We're splitting hairs at this point. It's kind of like you make some. You didn't even make any points, and I'm trying to convince myself that it's not a good idea.
For what?
To go out and put $60 on Hawk.
Okay, here I'll convince you not to.
Okay, all right.
TJ Hawkinson is still a rookie tight end.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay,
but he had 100
Johnson in that offense. I understand. They played the Arizona Cardinals.
You know what? I'll give you that. Well, who's he playing this week?
Are we good?
Who's he playing this week?
The Chargers.
Good luck.
I would still pick him up, but I would not.
Oh yeah, pick him up. Somebody's gonna still. a premature starter sit, would you start TJ Hawkinson this week?
No.
You have him, you drafted him, you put him on your bench. You wouldn't start him?
Well, it depends on my other options are or in my league, but typically no.
Like you have Mark Andrews on the waiver wire?
I would start Mark Andrews over TJ Hawkinson this week.
Let's get into some QB streaming options for the week and close out the show. I can't not. I'm just going to give you one guy. I can't not put him on this list because I feel Eli Manning. No, I feel like he is not like. I looked up the numbers on what is it? I looked up the numbers on him on Fantasy Pros in terms of how much he's owned, and it says that he's owned 60%. And I don't know if I believe it, but his name is Dak Prescott. Prescott came out. Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Now they were facing the Giants, but the new offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, he was doing like, and I can't remember if I told you this Sunday night, but I've watched probably over 60 Cowboy games over the last like 5 years.
That's very sad.
Because I've been watching Zeke. And Zeke's only been on the team for 4 years, so that's that. But I've seen a lot of Dak Prescott play, and I've seen a lot of the Cowboys' offense play. And I talked about this before on, I think it was like months ago on our sleeper show or on our QB. We were talking about QBs at some point, and I said Dak Prescott is consistent. He just only gets like 17 points a game. Right. The offense for Dallas was always boring. It was always like get up to the line of scrimmage, hand it off to Zeke, run it right up the middle. No motions, no pre-play reads, nothing. It was just like, and it was
very
always
standard,
very
offense.
Standard, very stale. With Kellen Moore, in this game, all they did, they shifted guys around. They created mismatches. They did all kinds of stuff. It was something different, and it worked. Like Dak Prescott looked legit. 400 and something, I'll just say 400 plus yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 37 fantasy points, I believe.
Yes. In
a 4-point touchdown league. Dak Prescott is my huge, he has a good matchup this week against Washington, and he's a huge streamer for this week.
If you're streaming quarterbacks, Jameis Winston didn't work out, or Jimmy Garoppolo.
or Cam Newton even, for me. I didn't even start Cam Newton.
And you need a bounce-back quarterback. Dak Prescott is definitely number one on my list.
And my thing is, too, is that if this is something that's regular, he's already consistent. So I definitely, if you need a quarterback, I would stream Dak Prescott. Do you have a streamer for us?
Yeah, Dak Prescott, I think, is the clear guy. Someone that goes under the radar for this week, I think is...
Oh, you're going to... is either his initials are either DC or AD. Give it to us.
Andy Dalton, baby.
I thought you might go Derek Carr. Derek Carr has an okay matchup. Andy Dalton is owned in, I believe, 15% of leagues.
Yeah, Andy Dalton is not owned in probably any of your leagues.
Well, he's free. Go get him.
I think he had 22 fantasy points this week. He threw for over 400 yards. He's going to be... For this week?
Yeah.
This week he's playing San Francisco, who... defended pretty well in week 1, but who's got a better defense? San Francisco or Seattle? And yes, they were playing Seattle. Yeah. Seattle, correct. In week 1 in Seattle, he threw for over 400 yards. He would have had more fantasy points, but he had 2 fumbles lost. So he would have had a 26 fantasy point game. And I think this week he's going to do just as good, to be honest. I think around the 22 fantasy point mark. If you're streaming guys, Dak Prescott should be number 1, but a deep option this week is look out for Andy Dalton. I think he could get another solid week out of him. Yeah,
I would also throw in Derek Carr. He looked really good. If you were watching,
he did.
It wasn't. See, the thing is for me is that if he had 15 fantasy points, but remember he's facing Denver.
Yeah, that's true.
He just when you watch the game itself, he looked good. He just didn't score a lot of touchdowns.
What about Josh Allen this week?
Josh Allen is owned in most leagues, I believe.
He's owned in. Well, I actually want to look that. Pull that number up.
Yeah, dude, I got you.
Because if he's not owned, I think he's not a bad option.
Who are you playing?
The New York Giants, who just gave up 37 points to Dak Prescott. He had 2 interceptions, Week 1 he wasn't great, but he did have a very good second half.
He's owned in 32% of Yahoo leagues and 21% of ESPN leagues.
And 24% NFL.com. So that's like, what, 25-ish, 26%?
Yeah, he's not a bad option, too.
I think Josh Allen is a good option. I would put for me, my top 3 quarterback streaming options.
If they figured out the offense and figured out how to make it better, then yeah.
I would say Dak Prescott should be number 1. I'd put
Dak
Josh Allen number 2 and then Andy Dalton number 3. And I'd probably say Derek Carr number 4.
Yep. That'll do it for our waiver wire ads and streaming options podcast episode, whatever you want to call it. Be sure to listen tomorrow, people, as we go over our booms and busts for this past week 1, and players you should also buy and sell. Don't forget to check us out at our website, thefantasychampions.com. Content, articles, material. Adam Hutchison just released an article about waiver wire ads. So make sure you go check that out. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Talk to you tomorrow, Fantasy Champs.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.